Hello everyone, welcome back to Clatapult, and today we will be talking about the G7 summit held in Italy in June 2024. This was the 50th summit of the Group of Seven or G7, which was also attended by India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi after his re-election. In the G7 summit, the leaders sought to promote the G7 Partnership for Global Infrastructure and Investment, which is a global effort to increase investments in infrastructure developmental projects. India has also garnered its support for the India-Middle East-Europe Economic Corridor, which was unveiled in the G20 summit back in 2023 in New Delhi. This is a major initiative by India to increase its trade developments through the Middle East and to Europe. The India-Middle East-Europe Economic Corridor, or the IMEC, consists of railroads, ship-to-rail networks, and even road methods of transportation for the purposes of development of trade and economic cooperation. The IMEC has also been divided into the Eastern Corridor and the North Corridor. The Eastern Corridor connects India to the Arabian Gulf, and the North Corridor connects the Gulf to Europe. Other than India, countries like the US, Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, France, Italy, Germany, and even the European Union are signatories to the IMEC. Other than the India-Middle East-Europe Economic Corridor, there are several other infrastructure projects that have been promoted under the aegis of the Group of Seven Summit. These other infrastructural projects firstly include the Lobito Corridor. Lobito is a port city on Angola, and this corridor extends to Zambia through the Democratic Republic of Congo. The second economic corridor is the Luzon Corridor, which lies in the island of Luzon in the Philippines. This island is the most populous island in the country of Philippines. The third infrastructure project is the Middle Corridor, also known as the Trans-Caspian International Transport Route, which is a vital logistics and transportation network that connects Europe and Asia. The fourth most significant infrastructural project supported by the G7 is the Great Green Wall Initiative, which seeks to combat desertification and land degradation in the Sahel region in Africa. These were some of the most significant initiatives that were promoted in the 50th G7 summit, which occurred in Italy. Now, the Group of Seven or the G7 summit comprises of 7 countries, namely France, Germany, Italy, United States of America, United Kingdom, Japan, and Canada. These 7 countries constitute some of the most advanced and most economically developed nations in the world, and therefore a summit where they all engage for economic cooperation is very significant for the purposes of global politics and global economic cooperation. The leaders of other significant international organizations like the European Union, the International Monetary Fund, and the United Nations are also present in such G7 summits. The origin of G7 dates back to the year 1973, when these advanced economies were struggling with an oil crisis. That oil crisis led these economies to engage in cooperation with each other to help in their economic development and their economic sustenance. The participating countries back then were the US, the United Kingdom, West Germany, Italy, and France. Canada later joined them in the year 1976, whereas Russia joined to form the G8 or the Group of 8 in 1997. However, Russia later in the year 2014 was expelled as a member due to the annexation of Crimea, and the group went back to be called the G7. India has always been a significant participant in G7 summits. The International Monetary Fund or IMF projects that India is one of the fastest growing economies in the world. India's current nominal GDP is that of 3.57 trillion US dollars, and therefore it is larger than 4 of the 7 members of the G7 countries. India, due to its significant position in the Indo-Pacific region, has been an important partner of the G7 countries to counter the expansion and growth of China's influence. Furthermore, India is also seen as an important mediator in the ongoing Russia-Ukraine conflict. and therefore India can go on to play a very significant role alongside the G7 countries. And therefore this summit, being its 50th edition, along with such significant developments on infrastructure, is very, very significant for us. Thank you.